You ever have a moment where your mouth says, I trust God, but your body says, we're not safe? Like you're trying to pray, but your heart is already sprinting. Your thoughts won't sit still. Your chest feels tight for no obvious reason. And the worst part isn't even the anxiety itself. It's the accusation that follows it. If my faith was real, I wouldn't feel this. If that sentence has ever lived in your head, you're exactly who this video is for. Because a lot of people are carrying a secret double burden. First, they feel anxious. Then they feel guilty for feeling anxious. Like anxiety is a spiritual failure instead of a human signal. So hear me clearly. You are not less saved because your nervous system is loud. You are not disqualified because your body is struggling to feel what your spirit already believes. This is where neurotheology becomes so powerful, because it explains something Scripture has been showing us for a long time. Sometimes your spirit is willing, but your brain is still stuck in survival mode. Your heart believes God is with me, but your amygdala is scanning for danger anyway. Your soul wants peace, but your body learns stress as a default setting. That doesn't mean you're fake, it means you're human, and it means God's work in you might be deeper than you think. So let's do a quick Me Too moment. If you've ever felt anxious and then felt guilty for being anxious, type Me Too in the comments. Not for attention, for agreement, for honesty. Because shame grows in silence and healing starts when you name what's real. Today we're going to talk about 5 inner brain states God often uses to shape the people He calls. Not to label you, not to diagnose you, but to help you recognize yourself without shame, and to give you a path forward that actually works in real life. Because being called is common, being reshaped is costly, and sometimes the cost is invisible, happening inside your thoughts, your reactions, your sleep, your focus, and the way your body responds when nothing is technically wrong, but everything feels heavy. And our narrative anchor for this whole journey is Elijah, a prophet who loved God deeply and still crashed emotionally. One moment he's bold, fearless, and unstoppable. The next moment he's running, exhausted, isolated, and asking God to take him out of the fight. That's not a weak man, that's a nervous system that hit its limit. And what God does next is the part people forget. God doesn't shame him. God doesn't yell, try harder. God feeds him, lets him sleep, restores him, and then speaks in a way that brings him back to himself. So if you've been quietly carrying stress, overthinking, numbness, panic, or that constant sense that you're behind, don't click away. Because maybe your anxiety isn't proof you're failing. Maybe it's proof your mind is being invited into renewal. So let's talk about what's really happening when your faith feels steady, but your body feels shaky. Because the moment you understand the mechanism, shame starts to lose its grip. Anxiety is not just a thought problem, it's a survival response. And your brain was designed to prioritize survival over serenity. That means when your nervous system thinks something is unsafe, it will override logic, override theology, and sometimes even override your most sincere prayers. Not because prayer is weak, but because the brain has levels, and survival sits very close to the bottom. Here's the simplest way to picture it. You have a part of your brain that scans for threat constantly. That's the amygdala. It's fast, it's protective, it's not interested in being fair, it's interested in keeping you alive. And then you have the part of your brain that helps you reason, reflect, plan, and choose your response. That's largely your prefrontal cortex. That part is wise, but slower. Anxiety happens when the threat system fires so quickly, so frequently, that your thinking brain can't catch up in time. That's why you can tell yourself, I'm okay, and still feel your heart race. That's why you can quote scripture and still feel that tightness in your chest. Your prefrontal cortex can confess truth, while your amygdala is still yelling, danger. And when that happens, your body releases stress chemistry. Adrenaline shows up to energize you. Cortisol shows up to keep you alert. Your muscles tense, your breathing changes, your attention narrows, your mind starts searching for an explanation, because the brain hates unexplained sensations. It needs a story.
So it starts generating what-if scenarios to match what your body already feels. And this is where people get trapped, because the fear is uncomfortable, and your mind tries to solve discomfort with control. So you overthink, you rehearse, you review, you predict, you scan, you try to figure it out. But the more you scan, the more you confirm to your brain that something must be wrong, because why else would you be scanning? So the cycle feeds itself. Now listen closely. That cycle is not a moral failure. It's a learned pathway. Your brain is plastic. That means it changes with repetition. Whatever you practice, you strengthen. Whatever you repeat, you reinforce. That's true for panic, and it's true for peace. And this is where neurotheology becomes more than a trendy word. Because when Scripture says renew your mind, it's not describing a vibe, it's describing a process. Renewal is a rewiring. It's the slow, sacred work of teaching your brain to stop treating every hard moment like it's an emergency.
But there's another layer that matters. Your brain does not store threat only as memories. It stores threat as patterns. If you've lived through seasons where you had to be on alert, if you've been disappointed repeatedly, if you grew up in chaos, if you've been betrayed, if you've carried pressure for too long, your nervous system can start acting like peace is unfamiliar. And when peace feels unfamiliar, you don't relax into it. You almost resist it. You sit in calm moments and your body goes, something's off. Not because something is off, but because your brain learned that calm was usually followed by trouble. That's why some people feel anxious when things are finally going well, because their brain associated stability with the next hit, so it keeps checking the horizon. That's hypervigilance, and hypervigilance feels spiritual sometimes because it disguises itself as responsibility. I'm just being careful, I'm just preparing. But underneath it, it's fear trying to stay in control. And control is exhausting. Your nervous system has two main gears. One gear is fight or flight, that's activation. The other gear is rest and digest, that's restoration. Anxiety is what happens when your body keeps living in activation, even when you're not in immediate danger. And if you stay there long enough, you don't just feel nervous, you start feeling tired, numb, irritable, foggy, or emotionally flat, because the body can't sprint forever. Eventually, it protects you by shutting feelings down. So if you've ever thought, I don't even feel like myself lately, that may not be you becoming cold. That may be your nervous system trying to conserve energy. This is what people call burnout, but spiritually, it can feel like distance from God. You'll say, I'm not hungry for prayer like I used to be. But sometimes it's not rebellion. Sometimes it's depletion. And this is exactly why the Elijah story is so important for anxiety and faith. Because Elijah's swing from courage to collapse wasn't just about emotions, it was about biology. After intense pressure, intense confrontation, intense output, the body crashes. And when you crash, your brain interprets everything as heavier than it is. One threat feels like 10 threats. One bad moment feels like the whole future. That's not you lacking faith. That's your brain trying to recover from overload. Here's a key principle. The brain cannot heal what it keeps labeling as danger. If you label every anxious feeling as I'm failing, you turn the feeling into a threat. And now your body gets anxious about anxiety. That's how panic grows. But if you learn to label the sensation accurately, you begin to take power away from it. Instead of I'm failing, you learn to say my nervous system is activated. Instead of God is disappointed, you learn to say my brain is trying to protect me, even if it's overreacting. That shift alone lowers fear because it tells the amygdala we're not in a life or death moment, we're in a moment of discomfort. This is what renewal looks like in real time. You don't just receive truth spiritually, you apply truth neurologically. And let me make it even more practical. Every time you slow your breathing, you send a signal to your body that says, I am safe.
Every time you interrupt a spiral and return to a single clear sentence of truth, you strengthen your prefrontal cortex. Every time you choose presence instead of prediction, you weaken the overactive threat pathway. And over time, your brain learns peace the same way it learned panic, through repetition. Now let me pause right here for a check-in, because this only works if you can see yourself in it. Do you recognize your pattern? Are you more of a scanner, always looking for what could go wrong? Are you a ruminator, replaying what already went wrong? Are you the numb one, functioning but not feeling? If you're tracking with me, type yes in the comments, because what we're doing right now is removing shame and replacing it with clarity. And clarity is powerful because it gives you choices. And this is where Elijah becomes more than a story. Because there's a moment when his strength disappears, not because he stopped loving God, but because his body finally hit the ceiling. And instead of shaming him, God meets him in the crash. He doesn't demand a speech. He doesn't demand performance. He restores him first. Then he speaks. And what he says doesn't just comfort Elijah, it recalibrates him.
Let's step into Elijah's world for a second. Because if you've ever felt spiritually sincere but emotionally fried, his story will feel uncomfortably familiar. Elijah isn't some fragile believer on the sidelines. He's the kind of person we assume would never struggle with anxiety. He prays with fire. He confronts darkness. He carries responsibility that would crush most people. And then comes that strange shift so many of us recognize. After a massive victory, after an intense season, after the adrenaline fades, his nervous system doesn't settle into peace. It collapses into fear. In 1 Kings 19, Elijah runs. Not because he stopped trusting God, but because his threat system is screaming. He isolates, he spirals, he starts speaking in absolutes. I'm the only one. It's over. I can't do this. That's not just sadness. That's what the brain does when it's overloaded. It narrows your perspective. It turns a moment into a life sentence. It makes you feel like what you're experiencing right now is what you'll experience forever. And look at God's response, because this is where so many people's theology gets corrected. God doesn't meet Elijah with accusation. God meets Elijah with regulation. Before God gives Elijah a lecture, God gives Elijah what his body needs: food, water, sleep. Not as a reward, as mercy. God is showing us something that neurotheology explains beautifully. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is let your nervous system come down from the ceiling. Then Elijah goes to the mountain, and this is where the story becomes a mirror. God tells him to stand, and suddenly there's wind, strong enough to tear the mountains. Then an earthquake, then fire, the kind of dramatic spectacle we assume would mean God is here. But Scripture says God was not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire. And then it says there was a gentle whisper. Not a shout, not a threat, not a performance. A sound soft enough that Elijah has to stop running internally to even perceive it. Elijah covers his face and steps forward. And that's the point. God is not training Elijah to only recognize him in intensity. God is retraining Elijah to recognize him in quietness. That's not just poetic, that's neurological. Because anxiety teaches your brain a false rule. It says, if it's loud, it's important. If it's urgent, it's real. If it scares you, it must be true. So your attention gets hijacked by the wind, the earthquake, the fire, the sensations, the thoughts, the what-ifs, the pressure, the racing heart, the catastrophic predictions. But God, in Elijah's moment of collapse, doesn't compete with the noise. He invites Elijah into a different signal, a different frequency, a whisper that doesn't spike your adrenaline, but steadies your soul.
This is what renew your mind looks like when it becomes real. Renewal is learning what to attend to. Renewal is learning which voice gets the microphone. Renewal is training your inner world to recognize God's presence not only when emotions are high, but when peace is possible. And here's the verse I want to give you as a cognitive tool today, because it connects directly to what Elijah is living through. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 3, it says, "You keep in perfect peace the one whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you."
Notice what that verse doesn't say. It doesn't say, "You keep him in perfect peace whose life has no problems." It doesn't say, "You keep him in perfect peace whose brain never fires a warning." It connects peace to where the mind stays. Stayed. That word matters, because anxiety is a mind that cannot stay. It jumps, it scans, it rehearses, it time travels into worst-case futures. It keeps moving, because movement feels like control. But Isaiah gives us a different picture. Peace isn't just an emotion that drops from the sky. Peace is the fruit of a mind that learns to stay. In neuroscience language, that is attention regulation. It's the strengthening of your ability to return. Return from the spiral. Return from the flood of fear. Return from the noise. Return to God. And the more you practice returning, the more your brain learns that it doesn't have to obey every alarm. In spiritual language, it's devotion, but not the performative kind. It's the quiet kind, the kind that looks like, "Lord, I'm here again. My thoughts are loud again. My body is activated again, and I'm not running from you. I'm staying with you." That's exactly what Elijah is being invited into at the mountain. God is not just telling Elijah information. God is giving Elijah an experience, an embodied experience of safety, a moment where Elijah's nervous system learns God is present and I don't have to brace for impact. And this is where a lot of believers get stuck, so let me say it gently but clearly. Many of us love the idea of God speaking in thunder, because thunder matches our urgency. It matches our panic. It matches the intensity we've been living in. But God often heals us through the whisper, because the whisper requires stillness. And stillness is exactly what anxiety tries to steal from you. So if you've been judging yourself because you don't feel powerful lately, consider the possibility that God is not trying to make you louder. He might be trying to make you steadier. He might be shifting you from intensity to intimacy, from surviving to renewing, from noise-driven living to spirit-led presence. Think about how different that is from shame. Shame says you should be over this by now. God says, "Come here, eat, rest, and listen." Shame says your anxiety proves your faith is weak. God says your anxiety may be the place I rebuild you. Shame rushes you. God regulates you. Shame demands a performance. God offers a whisper. And once you see that, Isaiah's words stop being a pretty quote and become a practice. My mind stayed on you. Not perfectly focused, not never distracted. Stayed. Returning again and again. Recentering again and again. Trusting that God's presence is not competing with your symptoms. It's underneath them, steady, waiting to be noticed. So let me ask you something you don't have to answer out loud. What has your mind been staying on lately? Not what you believe in theory, what your attention has been living on. Because attention becomes environment, and environment shapes the nervous system. And here's the hope. If Elijah can be restored, you can be restored.
If God can meet a prophet in a crash without crushing him, God can meet you too. If God can retrain Elijah to recognize him in the whisper, he can retrain you to find peace without needing your whole life to be quiet first. So here's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to guide you through a simple spoken practice built around that phrase, "My mind stayed on you." Not as a gimmick, but as training, a way to return in real time so your brain and your spirit stop pulling in opposite directions and start moving together again.
Before we do anything else, I want you to give yourself permission to practice this without pressure. You're not trying to win at calm. You're not trying to force your feelings to obey you. You're training your system to return. That's it. Return is the goal. Return is the victory. So wherever you are, let your shoulders drop just a little. If you can, unclench your jaw. Not dramatically, just enough to tell your body, we're not in a fight right now. And if you're driving or doing something that needs your full attention, keep your eyes open and just follow the words gently, no strain. Now, take a slow breath in through your nose and let it be unhurried. Hold it for a brief moment and then exhale like you're letting the day drain out of you. And do that again. Slow in, soft pause, long out. As you breathe, I want you to name what's happening with accuracy, not with shame. Say this quietly, even if it's only in your mind. My nervous system is activated. That's a description, not a verdict. My nervous system is activated. And then add this, but I am safe enough to return. Because this is the moment where anxiety usually argues with you. Anxiety wants to make you prove something. It wants you to explain everything, solve everything, predict everything. But you don't have to answer every alarm. You can return without permission from your fear. Now bring that phrase from Isaiah into your mouth like a simple anchor. My mind stayed on you. Say it slowly. My mind stayed on you. Not as a performance, as a direction. And as you say it, notice what happens. Even if your feelings don't change instantly, your focus changes. And focus is a steering wheel. Take another breath. And on the exhale, let your eyes soften, even if they're open. Let your attention move from the future back into this moment. Not because the future isn't real, but because fear is trying to live there without you. Bring yourself back. Now I'm going to guide you through a 3-step return. It's simple, but it's powerful if you notice you need it today and practice it this week. Step 1 is name the noise. Don't wrestle it, don't dramatize it, just name it. Say, this is worry. This is a spiral. This is that old fear pattern. This is my brain trying to protect me. The moment you name it, you stop becoming it. You step 1 inch back, and that inch is freedom. Step 2 is choose the whisper. Remember Elijah on the mountain, wind, earthquake, fire, and God is not in any of it. Then a gentle whisper. So now you choose the whisper on purpose. And the whisper is not always a voice you hear. Sometimes it's a sentence you repeat. Sometimes it's a truth you return to. Sometimes it's a picture of God's presence that steadies you. So say it again. My mind stayed on you. And then add this. God is with me here. God is with me here. Step 3 is give your body a signal of safety, because your body listens to signals more than speeches. So breathe slow again, in through the nose, long out through the mouth. And as you exhale, imagine you're turning the volume down on the inner alarms, not to deny reality, just to tell your system we are not in immediate danger. We are in a moment with God. Now let's go deeper for a few seconds.
I want you to picture Elijah in that cave, tired, overwhelmed, alone. And God doesn't come to embarrass him. God comes to restore him. So if your mind has been telling you that God is disappointed in you for struggling, I want you to confront that lie gently but firmly right now. Not with anger, with truth.
Say with me, God meets me in the crash. God restores me before he redirects me. God meets me in the crash. God restores me before he redirects me. And if that feels hard to believe, that's okay. Belief can begin as a choice before it becomes a feeling. You can say it even while your chest still feels tight. You can say it even while your thoughts still bounce. Because you're not waiting for the storm to leave before you speak. You're learning to speak inside the storm without becoming it. Now, I want you to take one more breath and ask yourself a simple question. What is my mind staying on right now? Not what it should stay on, what it is staying on. And whatever the answer is, don't judge it, just notice it. And then do the return. My mind stayed on you. Here's a practical mission for you, because a single moment is good, but repetition is what rewires. For the next 7 days, do this return 3 times a day, morning, midday, and night. It takes 1 minute. You name the noise, you choose the whisper. You give your body a signal of safety, and you anchor with that line. My mind stayed on you. If you do it consistently, you're not just calming down, you're building a new pathway. You're teaching your brain that God's presence is a place it can stay. And let me make this a community thing, because you don't need to fight your mind alone. If you're willing to take that 7-day mission, type "I'm in" the comments. That's not hype, that's agreement. That's you choosing renewal. And if this video is helping you put words to what you've been feeling, here's the mission invite. Like and subscribe, not as a favor to me, but as a way to push this message towards someone who's been quietly drowning in anxiety and thinking it means they're failing God. When you engage, it helps the algorithm place this in front of the person who needs the whisper. Because the goal here is not just information. The goal is peace, real peace, the kind that starts in your mind, settles into your body, and becomes a testimony you can live in.